presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
Twins hit 10 home runs in the 3-game series with Oakland. They haven't hit one yet tonight. High drive, left center field. Going back is Bradley. Going back is Bradley. For two more. Blasted into the bullpen, and the Twins win it 4-3.
What a finish last night. Joe Mauer in his 1,615th game hit his 132nd home run, but for the first time it came in walk-off fashion. Mauer back in there today as the Twins try to make it 2 in a row over the Sox. In the second game of this 3-game series, the win last night for Minnesota. They're 7th in the last 9 games. They sit on top of the AL Central, and today they'll hand the ball to Nick Tepesch, who makes his Twins debut against last year's Cy Young Award winner Rick Porcello. Porcello, 22 wins a year ago, has just 1 so far this season. One of his struggles today, his challenges today, will be to stop Eddie Rosario, who had a double and a triple in last night's win, extending his hitting streak to 15. Only Mike Trout has a longer active streak in all of baseball. Welcome to Target Field with Roy Smalley. I'm Anthony Lepanto. Rosario's streak has been remarkable. He was hitting under 200 when it started, 404 during the streak, 7 of the 23 hits for extra bases, and he's been doing it in typical Rosario fashion. Every once in a while that zone changes, but he hits everything hard.
The best thing, though, is that he is managing that zone an awful lot better. When he makes the ball get in the strike zone and swings only at those, he's really, really good. And that's always been the issue for him and will always be, but he's doing a much better job managing the strike zone this year. And when he does, then the key is you get good pitches to hit them, and he's not missing them. And that's the key. Make the ball be a good pitch to hit, and then don't miss it when you get it. And he is just not missing anything. Oh, every once in a while he'll mix in one of those. He's one of the best bad ball hitters there is. But he's got to get the ball in the zone, because as last night, 2 balls in the zone, a double down the left field line, and a big triple to right center. And he has been just terrific. You see, because he keeps his hands back so well, then hips and hands all come at the same time, and he's able to throw that big end of the ball, of the bat at the ball, and make that kind of contact. When he's doing that, when he's getting the ball in the zone, he's as dangerous as it literally it can be any hitter in the league.
Looking a lot more like the guy who had 46 extra base hits 2 years ago for the Twins. Up next, get to know today's starter, Nick Tepesch. He makes his Twins debut next.
Sports North is presented by State Farm. It is a gorgeous afternoon for baseball at Target Field as the Twins hope to beat the Red Sox in back-to-back ball games. It was 2 weeks ago that the Twins made a switch in their number 5 starter spot. It'll be the first appearance with Nick Tepesch taking the mound for the Minnesota Twins. He'll be making his Twins debut. And we welcome you to Target Field, Dick Bramer and Jack Morris for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Nick Tepesch is the quintessential journeyman. Witness last year, he was a part of 4 different organizations, and now he'll make his Twins debut today.
Yeah, last year kind of a year to forget for Nick Tepesch. He was bouncing around from team to team, released a couple times, picked up, sent out, and made 1 start, and that was with the Dodgers against Pittsburgh a little less than a year ago. He has not pitched in 16 days. Last pitch down in Rochester, the Twins AAA affiliate. So it's going to be kind of a process of wonder today. You can see those are his grips on 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball, typical of most pitchers. He's got the circle change. He spikes his curveball. You can see how that index finger is kind of sticking up, and then he's got a cutter. So typical selection of pitches for a guy. He knows how to pitch. He's had success in the past in his days in Texas, and we're just hoping that he can get a little bit deeper into the game and rest that bullpen a little.
Typically, teams rotate their number 5 starters. First, it was Adalberto Mejia, and this afternoon, Nick Tepesch will make his Twins debut.
I play baseball because I enjoy being out there. I enjoy the competition, the little games within the game, but you know, to be able to get out there every day and to play a kid's game at my age right now is a lot of fun.
Well, he gave a lot of people a lot of enjoyment last night. A dramatic home run for Joe Mauer to get the Twins in the win column in the opening game of the 3-game series. Brought the Twins back into first place in the American League Central. And he's the designated hitter today. John Farrell has seen his team struggle to score runs. Quite the opposite of their team of a year ago. Here's the Menards batting order for Game 2 for Boston. Mookie Betts leading off. Dustin Pedroia batting second. Then Xander Bogaerts, Andrew Benintendi, Hanley Ramirez, Mitch Moreland, Chris Young, Sandy Leon, and Josh Rutledge. And Nick Tepesch about to throw his first pitch as a Twin. And it's a strike to Mookie Betts.
Well, first start in a while for Nick Tepesch. Last started a year ago almost in the big leagues, that is, with the Dodgers against Pittsburgh. And it's been 16 days since he pitched in Rochester, like we mentioned earlier. So let's see if he can throw a lot of strikes. Fill up the strike zone like Phil Hughes did last night. Challenge the hitters, put the ball in play.
Fouled away 1-2. Now Tepish was added to the team 2 weeks ago because the Twins were short of long relievers. And his original role was to fill the long relief role, but that never happened. And so now he's in the rotation. 2 weeks ago it was Adalberto Mejia. And because of off days, that 5th spot in the rotation didn't come up until today. And Tepish, according to the manager, will be given more than one start here as the Twins want to see what the veteran journeyman has to offer. 2-2. And now full count.
Good sharp slider right there.
Tepish, a big man, 6'4", 240. Born in Kansas City, lives in a eastern suburb of Blue Springs. Swing and a miss, and Tepish strikes out Betts. Not the easiest thing to do. Betts is every bit as tough to strike out this year as Joe Mauer, but Tepish got him. Twins out in the field with a different look. Without Brian Dozier in the infield, without Byron Buxton in the outfield, Northland Ford defense has Rosario, Kepler, and Grossman in the outfield, Sano, Polanco, Escobar, Vargas in the infield, and Castro behind the plate again this afternoon. Down and away, ball 1 to Dustin Pedroia.
You can see already how quickly Nick Tepish is working. He's getting the ball and throwing it. Taking a lot of time in between pitches. That's always good. It keeps the defense on their toes.
Off the plate, 2-0. Pedroia batted leadoff last night. Crew chief Brian Gorman calling balls and strikes. Dan Iasanya, Mike DeMuro, and Trip Gibson on the bases. Three and 0. Bogarts on deck. Paul Molitor saying that they would imagine, given his inactivity, they would hope to get 75 pitches from Tepish. Where that puts him somewhere in the middle innings or beyond, that remains to be seen. And a 4-pitch walk. Pedroia hustles to first. Sanford Health injury report. The Twins without a couple of regulars. We told you about Buxton last night. Brian Dozier last night rolled his left ankle, and it was still giving him some trouble. You can see right there, just kind of the left ankle buckled. He came out of the game for a pinch hitter in the 9th inning. And there's a really good chance he won't start tomorrow. With the Twins having an off day on Monday, the hope is the ankle and Dozier will be 100% Tuesday in Chicago. Here's Xander Bogaerts. And there's the outside corner. Bogaerts, last year when the Red Sox came here, had a couple of 4-hit games. In fact, back-to-back 4-hit games. And consequently, in his last 12 games against the Twins, he's hitting .600 against Twins pitching.
Yeah, he's a guy that stands way off the plate, dives into the ball. And not so sure the Twins have really moved his feet much yet, but it's always a good idea when a guy's hitting that well to make him a little uncomfortable in the box. Can't always throw the ball where he's expecting it.
All right, now Polanco came in from short to talk to Tepish. What do you imagine that was about?
Well, probably about keeping an eye, maybe 2 looks over there at Pedroia, and also maybe that a ball's hit back to him, Tepish, that Polanco will either be covering, or he probably let him know who's covering, whether it's him or Escobar, on a double play ball.
And now 2-1. Now you had a Hall of Fame caliber shortstop for most of your career in Detroit, Alan Trammell. Did he come to the mound much? And if he did you welcome the visits?
Yeah, he was one of my teammates that I could tolerate on the mound. And a lot of times Sparky would send him because Sparky didn't have the courage to come out himself. And most of the time the Tram came out, it was just to give me a break. And he tried to make light of it because he knew I didn't want him out there.
Well, now Tepish falling behind Bogaerts, 3-1 with Benintendi on deck. And a strike.
one of the things that we're going to have to watch early here on Nick Tepesch is his command. It's awful difficult. I know he's thrown a couple bullpen sessions. He's thrown a simulated game, and I don't know how many Twins hitters he actually faced in that simulated game, but command isn't always an issue when you have so much time off. And I don't care how good of control pitcher you are.
Runner goes, throw to second.
Oh, he missed the tag.
And Escobar reached for the ball and the runner at the same time, and he's not looking into the Twins dugout, so I think he realizes that he missed the tag.
Yep.
It's a nice slide, although the slide was nowhere near the bag. Pedroia was able to recover and retouch the bag. The Twins wanted to check replay real quickly to see whether Pedroia ran out of the baseline or ran out of to evade the tag, ran out of the baseline. You can see his slide wasn't.
Isn't that a kind of an arbitrary judgment deal by the umpire? What is the baseline when you're 5 feet away from the bag?
Right.
It's got to be a circle, I would think.
And now ball one to Benintendi, hitting cleanup. Hit a home run last night, and the way the Red Sox are going, that automatically qualifies you for cleanup duty the next day. So we've had 2 strikeouts, a walk, a stolen base, and now ball one to the rookie Benintendi. And now 1-1. Strike to ball ratio isn't very good for Tepesch, but so far he's survived 18 pitches, just 7 strikes. And he's got 2 strikeouts. Popped up left field. Rosario coming in to put it away. Tepesch has a scoreless first inning. Last year there are 4 teams in the American League Central with 15 wins. The other 3 teams have 13 losses. That's why the Twins are on top of the division right now. The Menards batting order for game 2. Robbie Grossman moving up to the leadoff spot in Dozier's absence. Then Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Kenny Vargas, Max Kepler, Eduardo Escobar, Jason Castro, Jorge Polanco, and Eddie Rosario.
And they will face last year's Cy Young Award winner, Rick Brusello. He's 1-4 this year, having a tough year with his offense behind him, offensive support lacking. He's had a 1.83 ERA in his last 3 starts, but 0-3 overall, and 0 run support in his last 4 starts. He's won 1 game in 2 starts last year for the Twins, and had a kind of a breakout year. Got a lot of run support, but also pitched his tail off last year for the Red Sox.
His ERA so far this year about a 1.5 higher than it was last year. And he takes the mound here with the Red Sox not giving him any runs in the first inning. He should be used to that by now. They haven't scored a run for him in his last 4 starts. 2 strikes to Grossman. And now the third baseman Rutledge will swing over to the right side of the infield, and Pedroia will retreat into short right field. Just missed the inside corner.
Well, that was good pitching right there. If you're going to have a shift, you want to have the guy pull the ball, so you pitch it on the inner part of the plate. You don't want to throw it down in a way where he can slap it down the third base line.
Foul over the Boston dugout. Northland Ford defense for the Red Sox, and they've had some issues out there as well. Chris Young is at left, Andrew Benintendi in center, and Mookie Betts in right. Rutledge at third, Bogarts, Pedroia up the middle, Moreland at first, and Sandy Leon will catch not only today with Porcello on the mound, he'll be catching tomorrow with Chris Sale pitching for Boston as well. Well in front of the left-handed batter's box, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, Jackie Bradley Jr., yesterday's center fielder, is the day off.
Porcello's given the Red Sox a quality start in 18 of his last 19 starts.
And that equates to a 4.5 ERA. So.
A little looper foul, but there's no third baseman, so there's nobody there to make the catch on the warning track. Strikeouts are up for Porcello, but the results haven't been the same. Basically striking out 1 batter per inning now, which is a high for him. This one popped to left. Chris Young with the catch, 1 away. And that'll bring up Joe Mauer, who sent everybody home happy last night.
A little bit surprising that he would swing out of the zone and be able to put a ball into the bullpen left center field, but you see the reaction from his teammates. You and I were pretty excited here in the broadcast booth. And Joe trying to duck the old shower, but didn't work out too well. He was happy. Thanked the crowd for their reaction.
Some great photos, still photos of that moment at home plate. Reminded me of Jim Thome's dramatic home run against the White Sox back in 2010. And I told you my theory about why he swung at that pitch, and I don't think you thought it held much water, but I'll tell the viewers anyway. 1 strike to Mauer. Half swing, strike 2. Last night's home plate umpire Trip Gibson had a very generous, shall we say, strike zone, and high fastballs were called regularly. And I just thought Joe figured with 2 strikes he's not going to take a chance of being called out, and was in swing mode. 2 strikes. Mauer takes inside.
I don't know as well I've ever seen Joe swing at a pitch like that.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Ever. And yet he barreled it up nicely.
Rosario does it, and we chuckle and go, well, that's Eddie. Joe does it, and it's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, he doesn't do that. And that's probably why I was surprised at the result. I just wasn't anticipating that.
Well, we've seen Joe hit so many fly balls to left field that end up just short of the wall. That was a legitimate line drive into the bullpen. It didn't have much height to it.
You know, one of the most puzzling things about Joe Mauer to me is the fact that we watch him day in and day out in batting practice. And when he wants to turn on a ball, he hits them deep into right field. Upper deck, down the line, up into the plaza up there sometimes. And yet he doesn't ever try to do that in the game. And I think he actually tried to drive a ball last night, that pitch. And he was able to do it.
Just missed the inside corner. That was close to the pitch that Grossman took for a ball.
More pitchers don't throw the pitches right there to Joe. Rarely does he get balls inside.
And a breaking ball. Cutter, perhaps, striking out Mauer. 2 down. And that'll bring up Miguel Sano. Sano last night got the scoring started with a triple off the wall in right. You can see where he ranks in the offensive categories for his team.
Kind of Mr. Everything, isn't he?
You know, you expect the home runs, I guess, with 8. But he's the only Twin player with more than 1 triple. So he's leading in that category, too. softly hit over the reach of the shortstop Bogarts. And the pro shop might get a Miguel Sano bat out of that plate appearance.
No, they won't. He owns his own bats.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
He buys his own bats, so they are not the property of the Minnesota Twins, and he can do whatever he wants with them. Maybe go to miguelsano.com and purchase them.
So Sano at first, and now Kenny Vargas will bat. Vargas taking over at first base for Mauer, who's the designated hitter. Red Sox start the at bat in a pull shift for Vargas. Strike over the inside corner. I think a lot of Twins fans are intrigued with this lineup, with another big power hitter hitting behind Miguel Sano. Now it's up to Vargas to produce in that spot. So far he has, particularly from the left side of the plate, where he's hitting .353. Strike called again, and it's 0-2.
Porcello making some really good pitches to get ahead in the count.
Oh, 0-2 to Kenny Vargas. Jam shot and a dribbler back to the mound. Porcello retires Vargas. Each team leaving a runner aboard in a scoreless first inning. Our State Farm combination, and the Twins have been slugging the ball against the Red Sox here at Target Field for the last few years. Saw Kepler's walk-off last year, Mauer's walk-off last night. ERA not that great, but this time in this series they're taking on a Red Sox team that is really struggling to score runs, and they can't seem to figure out why. And the longer it goes on, the more the rumbling will last that they simply miss David Ortiz, their biggest bat in the middle of their lineup. You talked about that last night. One strike to Ramirez, and now a ball.
David had a career year last year in his final lap around the American League, and it seemed like there was nothing left on base when he came to the plate. He was able to clean up and pick up a lot of RBI. Just had a great year.
2-1 now to Ramirez. Mitch Moreland and Chris Young will follow.
Talked to Neil Allen yesterday about Nick Tepesch. Asked him about his spring. What kind of spring did he have? He said, Jack, he didn't really do anything that really lit you up. He said the one thing that we were impressed is he got stronger as spring went along. Seemed to throw more strikes, had better fastball command as spring went along. But he's not a guy that's going to really impress you with one particular pitch. He's another one of those guys that has to pitch to contact. and get ahead in the counts. And he's done that so far on the mound today, even though he hasn't pitched in a while.
Aborted that windup. So far, 23 pitches, only 10 strikes, yet he's picked up a couple of strikeouts. Red Sox have really cut down on their strikeouts in the last week or so. Dug out of the dirt by Castro, and it's a full count.
The other thing that caught my attention when Neil was telling me about Tepesh, and this sometimes goes unnoticed and it doesn't equate to anything mechanically or productivity wise. You see, he's a great guy in the clubhouse, and I think sometimes that goes a long way in the Twins organization.
Fouled back. You know, Jason Castro was the big free agent acquisition in the offseason, but I hate to even call them secondary players, but the Belials, Jimenez's, Tepesh, that's what you hear about all those guys, that they're really good teammates, good clubhouse people.
Well, when we're in these transition type years where we have a lot of young athletic kids that have so much upside, I think it's important to get some veteran players in there that can help teach them how to act on the field.
Good play again by Sano, fielding the swinging bunt, the chopper in front of him, one down. And let's find Audra Martin.
Well, guys, it's time for our car soup scoop from the clubhouse with Nick Tepesh pitching on 16 days rest. The plan is to keep him to about 75 pitches, but Paul Molitor said that could change depending on how he's able to move things along. Brian Dozier is considered day-to-day with a mild ankle sprain, and Paul Molitor says don't expect to see him before early next week. He's pretty swollen and he's limping quite a bit as well. Byron Buxton also still considered day-to-day, but even with those two out, Molitor says they will not bring somebody up from AAA. Yes, the 10-day disabled list is a more appealing option than that 15-day, but still in this case he says it's better to be patient. Guys?
Yeah, and I would imagine, Audra, that if Dozier still has an issue with the ankle on Tuesday, the 10-day disabled list might be a consideration for Brian Dozier, but no one at this point hopes that that's the case or thinks that will be the case. 2-0. You like that move, Jack? I mean, I think we've already seen it in evidence around baseball that players are going on the disabled list quicker because the time out is 5 days shorter.
Well, I think it just falls into place, but with an off day on Monday, that creates an opportunity to maybe reevaluate on Tuesday, and you can go back to the day, so you only have 6 days or 5 days on the DL for Doge, and that'll give him the time needed. But it all depends on how he's feeling probably tomorrow and Monday.
High fly to center field. Drifting back is Kepler. Kepler had a bunch of chances last night and he handled them all well. When he was in the minor leagues, he played a lot of center field. So asking him to step in for Buxton for a couple of days isn't much of a stretch. And he was kept pretty busy last night and made all the plays. 2 down.
Well, he doesn't have Byron Buxton's speed, but he has very good instincts, reacts to the ball, and makes, which is almost more important in today's game, great routes to the baseball, direct paths. Doesn't have a lot of loops in his routes, and good strong throwing.
And John Farrell and the Red Sox were talking last night after the game about how it was a tough game to play with the wind, and it impacted the outfielders probably more than the infielders. And Kepler was able, and his outfield mates were able to make the plays in the outfield. Grossman in particular had a tough play early in the ball game going back to the warning track. 2 strikes with 2 down to Chris Young.
I was actually glad to see him catch that ball because we saw that a lot in left field, the same kind of routes. A little spin, a little move. It's almost like a tight end trying to get clear on a reception.
Young tied the game with a 2-run single in the 9th inning last night.
They have a.
That's hit well to left center field. Rosario looking at it, Kepler looking at it, and Young hits it halfway up the bleachers in left center field. First home run of the year for Chris Young.
Young came in the 9th inning in last night's game, got a huge hit to tie the game, picking up 2 RBI, and now today in his first at bat, see Tepech's reaction. Sometimes, and I can testify to this, I've thrown hanging sliders that came out of my hand and I started screaming no. Before it even came halfway to home plate, you just knew by your arm slot and release point that the ball was going to be up in the zone. And Nick knew that was going to be a mistake pitch right off the get-go.
Sandy Leon taking ball one. Leon started the year as the regular catcher for the Red Sox, being backed up by Vasquez. Sharply hit and past Escobar into center. Leon with a sharp single. Vasquez for a while was hitting the ball so well, he kind of took over Leon's primary catching duties, and it's Leon now who's playing twice a week instead of Vasquez. A couple of 2-out hits, and that'll bring up Josh Rutledge. As we detailed last night, the Red Sox have rotated a whole bunch of people through the third base position so far this year. Pablo Sandoval is on the disabled list. Brock Holt has vertigo issues, and he's on the disabled list. And Marco Hernandez was put there a couple days ago after being injured in a game. So Rutledge gets a chance to play over there. One strike to Rutledge. Started the game at third base last night, finished at first base. 1-1.
Rutledge is kind of a journeyman guy. He's in his 8th professional season, so he's not a kid anymore. Second stint with the Red Sox after coming back from Colorado.
1-2 to the number 9 batter. Swinging a foul. Castro couldn't hang on to it.
Good off-speed breaking ball right there that Rutledge is way out in front, but he did get a piece of the baseball. Pitch count's going to be a concern, so it's a good time for maybe a swing and miss pitch, ground ball, something to get that third out and get off the field.
40th pitch of the ball game for Tepesh. And now 2-2. He's more than half the way to the fluid pitch count limit of 75. Chopper to short. Polanco joggles it, and everybody's safe. Might have taken his eye off the ball.
Peaked.
And the inning will continue. Polanco commits an error, and that gets Mookie Betts up with 2 men aboard. For the Twins, just their 9th error of the year, and for Polanco, just his 2nd.
Let's see, just as the ball was making contact with his glove, he started looking over at second base, and Escobar is going to go down as a fielder's choice, error 6.
The Twins now and the Kansas City Royals have the fewest errors in the American League with 9. The Red Sox tied for the most with 26.
The Twins have that's been one of their strengths, no question about it. How well they played in the field. And again, when you have a guy who hasn't thrown a baseball in 16 days, he's the kind of guy you really don't want to make errors, because pitch count is so important for a guy like him. He's not going to be able to go deep in the game if he has to pitch to extra hitters, and that's something he has to do right now with Mookie Betts at the plate.
Very dangerous hitter with 2 men on and 2 out. Now 3-0, and it doesn't get any easier with Pedroia on deck. Tepesh with 9 major league wins, 18 major league losses, and an ERA of 4.68 coming into the game. Won 4 games for the Rangers back in 13. Won 5 games for them in 2014. Over the inside corner. He had to endure and recover from the same surgery that Phil Hughes had late last year. The thoracic outlet syndrome, had a rib removed. And now ball 4, they're loaded up. If you're looking for the ultimate Twins experience this summer, the all-new Twins baseball and softball camps are presented by Select Heartland Chevy dealers. They're perfect for your kids' summer plans. Camps are for kids ages 6 to 14 and feature a current Twins player and coach, a VIP day trip to Target Field, a full Twins uniform, skills competition, and more. To learn more and register, visit twinsbaseball.com/training. Now, not that long ago, a full Twins uniform would mean stirrup socks, sanitaries, and they don't use those anymore. Very rarely will a player use the stirrups that had been worn for 100 years.
Yeah, the pants go all the way down to the ankles now, and you don't see it very often. There's certain guys that wear their bloused pants and they show the whole sock.
Pedroia walked on 4 pitches in the first inning.
Yeah, you talk about Pedroia and what he's done to the Twins. Here at Target Field, Dustin Pedroia has hit .412 with 4 home runs in 15 games.
And if he never plays another game here, if he never has another at bat after this one, my memory will be him peppering the scoreboard in right center field. And he got another extra base hit there last night. 1 strike to Pedroia. Big moment here for Tepish, and he drives one to the other gap, and that might empty the bases all the way to the wall. It'll be a 3-run double for Dustin Pedroia.
Well, when you talk about Dustin Pedroia, I think the word that describes him better than any other word is gamer. He plays every day. He plays hard every day. And you see the pitch that he hits right here, right down the middle.
The error charged to Polanco has cost the Twins at least 3 runs, and Tepish more pitches. It's 4-0. People who've been involved with the Red Sox try to beat Pedroia to the ballpark every day, and they can't do it. He's here before anybody else. We were talking about guys like Tepish and Belisle and Castro and Jimenez being good teammates. Pedroia is the ultimate good teammate. Shows up early for work, wants to play every day.
That's fun doing it too. He loves to tease. It's part of the clubhouse jockeying that he's been involved with for a long time.
1-1 to Bogaerts.
Well, Rick Porcello can't complain about run support in this one. Pitched 1 inning and he's got 4 runs to work with now already.
And a base hit to right. Pedroia to third. Brian Butterfield will hold him up. The throw way off line, cut off by Vargas. And a 3rd out that the Twins thought they were going to get in the Rutledge at bat, still proving to be elusive. Benintendi will bat the 9th man to bat this inning. Benintendi hit a fly ball to left to end the first inning.
And there's no activity yet in the Twins bullpen. You wonder, certainly when you have an opportunity to make the 3rd out and then the inning is extended, multi-runs scored after that. It never helps anybody, but now there's some activity. Somebody's up and throwing.
Guessing it would be Drew Rucinski, but I don't know.
Yep.
Rucinski just added to the roster yesterday. Pretty likely he was going to get in today anyway, but the Twins were hoping it wouldn't be in the early innings. 1-0 to Benintendi. 2-0.
Here's another stat that doesn't make a lot of sense. The Twins, there's Rucinski in the bullpen. The Red Sox have been very, very good during the day this year and not so good at night. Go figure. Explain that one. I mean, I can understand the other way around. Play better at night, you know, have a tough time waking up during the day.
I haven't a clue.
Yeah.
2-1. That's down the line. Foul by about 4 feet. In other Twins rotation news, because they sent down Kyle Gibson, Twins will have an opening in the number 3 spot in their rotation. Now there's an off day on Monday, and so they'll juggle some things. But by next weekend, they'll need somebody. And it might be Jose Barrios, who was supposed to pitch today for Rochester. But the Red Wings have had all sorts of problems with weather, and that game has been rained out today. So Barrios won't have a chance to emerge as the front runner. This one squirted between Sano and the line. Pedroia will score. Slowly into the corner. Bogart's being waved around. Here's the throw to the plate, and now the throw to third. Safe. And the Red Sox are taking full advantage of the extra out the Twins have given them. 6 runs, 5 of them unearned runs.
Yeah, it seems like the floodgates have opened since that error. Benintendi shooting the ball the other way. You could see that inside out swing. He was intending to go that way with that swing. And got it past Sano, and once it did, Pedroia is going to score easily. Bogarts, who is at first base, comes all the way around.
Paul Molitor coming out, and they'll have to make a pitching change here. Tepish gave up the home run to Young, and then a base hit to Leon. But then the routine ground ball to Polanco wasn't played well, and the Red Sox have jumped all over Tepish and knocked him out in the second inning. As Nick Tepish had hoped. The error certainly didn't help, but the fact of the matter is he was knocked out in the second inning, and the Red Sox have put a big number up on the Twins in the second, and now it's Drew Rucinski's turn to make his Twins debut.
Well, they start all over again. Hanley Ramirez led off this inning. The ground ball to Sano. He'll get another chance off the new Twins pitcher.
So Rucinski will take on Hanley Ramirez, who started this inning. with a chopper in front of Sano, who made a nice play to get the first out of the inning.
He was a minor league free agent. That's how the Twins acquired him in spring training this year. And, just yesterday, his contract was selected from Rochester.
Because of the short start Wednesday afternoon, or Thursday afternoon, I should say, by Kyle Gibson, and the prospect of Tepesh starting today, when best case scenario, the Twins are going to get 4, maybe 5 innings out of him. And so they needed some protection. Rucinski's the guy, and he's delivered strike 1 to Hanley Ramirez. Base hit right field, and the Red Sox aren't done yet. Benintendi comes in from third base. And that'll bring up Mitch Moreland.
And it's going to be one of those days for the Twins. Got last year's Cy Young Award winner that's made up for all the runs, lack thereof, in his last 4 starts in this game, this inning. 7 Red Sox runners have crossed home plate.
Now to the left field corner, and there's nobody there. The Twins had him shifted around. That goes to the wall. Rounding third, Ramirez will be sent home. Here's the throw, and it's another Red Sox run on another hit. Since the error, the Red Sox have a walk and now 5 straight hits, all obviously with 2 out. An RBI double for Moreland. This is one of those weird things. This will be another unearned run for the team, but yet an earned run for Rucinski, because he gave up the base hit to Ramirez, and Moreland drove him in with a double. So on the one hand, it's an unearned run, but on the other hand, it's an earned run. Here's Chris Young. Rucinski's thrown 3 pitches, and 2 of them have resulted in hits. And now Castro has to block one. It's been a long Saturday afternoon for Jason Castro.
You're talking about Rochester getting rained out. Alberto Mejia pitched yesterday and did not pitch well against the Red Sox AAA affiliate Pawtucket. So they're going to make a decision here in the next week about that starter coming up next weekend. And right now, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of red hot options.
Well, the 5th spot would come up again on Saturday in Cleveland, and Barrios presumably will be given the start tomorrow if they play tomorrow. So that would be Sunday, and then 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, he may even have an extra day, Barrios would, to come up and start in Cleveland. But again, there are people a lot smarter than me who will make that decision. 2-1 to Young. He started this mess with a home run. There were 2 outs in the inning, and Young clobbered one well over the wall and left center. Swing and a foul. So Rucinski was in camp. Tepesh was in camp. There's another guy in camp, Ryan Vogelsong, a veteran who saw I guess the handwriting on the wall. Been a long-time professional baseball player, and he left camp late in March when he realized he wasn't going to make the team out of spring training. So the depth that the Twins thought they'd have at AAA for situations like this, some of that went away when Vogelsong left the team. Rucinski's going to have to presumably be out there for a while.
You never know when you get that call, like Rosinski just got, how quickly it'll be before you're in a game. They give you a heads up, and he probably assumed that pitch count would be a factor for Tepesh.
Finally, the inning ends. But the Red Sox get 8 runs, 7 of them unearned runs after the boot by Polanco. Thankfully, this year, Nick Tepesh gave up an earned run and then a base hit, and then the air opened the door, and the Red Sox charged through the open door. Max Kepler will lead off the second.
Yeah, all with 2 outs. You put a snowman up there on the board. You don't see that very often.
And now Kepler takes a strike, 1-1.
A lot of baseball game layout, though, so Paul Molitor certainly will be watching his boys and how they respond. You've got a great pitcher on the mound, a guy that really had a great year last year and has been pitching well.
Checked his swing.
You want him to keep battling and have quality at bats, even though the score is very lopsided right now.
The half swing called a strike, and it's 1-2 to Kepler. And Kepler called out on strikes, 1 down. Second strikeout for Porcello. That'll bring up Escobar.
That ball really has good tail. Stayed in the strike zone. Kepler knew it. Gave up a little early on it.
Escobar playing at second base in place of Brian Dozier, as we've detailed. Dozier sprained his ankle last night. It's considered a mild sprain. And there's nothing more than an outside chance that he'll be in the lineup tomorrow. And now Escobar takes a couple of strikes over the inside corner.
And Porcello throwing that fastball. It's tailing back over the plate. It starts on the off the plate in and then comes back and catches the corner.
2 down on the second. Let's find out what the big story is today in baseball from Audra Martin.
Well, the big story starts with a big night from Carlos Correa's 2-out RBI single in the 10th gave Houston the win over the Angels last night. Houston now off to their best start in franchise history. And once again, Steven Strasburg does it all, going 5 2/3 scoreless innings and his second career home run in the victory for his team last night. And last night in Cincinnati, 21-year-old Christian Arroyo homers off 40-year-old Bronson Arroyo. No, they are not related, but guys, they did go to the same high school in Florida. Nice coincidence.
Yes. Thank you, Audra. 1-0 the count to Jason Castro. And Castro to the right field corner has a hit.
Stay there.
And he will stay there with the score being what it is, a 2-out single. We'll see if the Twins can do some damage after the second out. Porcello can be you can imagine him wondering where some of these runs that he might not need today, why they couldn't have been
absolutely
in some of the other starts.
You want run support, but you don't need them all in one game and in one inning. That number certainly is going to change dramatically because of what happened in the top half of the second inning.
Here's Polanco. And he takes a strike down the middle. It was Polanco's error that gave the Red Sox an extra out.
Well, one of the reasons the Twins kept Adrianza is because of his reputation of having a real slick fielding glove out there at shortstop, and I don't know if everybody in this organization totally trusts Jorge Polanco's ability to play short every day. And you know, so far so good. He's been very good. He did commit the error, yes he did, but up until this point I think he's done a great job at shortstop.
This is the 28th game, and their everyday shortstop pretty much has committed just his second error. That's
good.
That's pretty good. I talked with Paul Molitor yesterday about it, about Adrianza in particular, suggesting that, you know, the start of the year, if he'd been healthy, would he have made the club as a late inning substitute for either Polanco or Sano, because their defense was considered suspect. And Paul said no. He said, you know, he would not want to replace those guys late in games despite their unproven status in the field, because the Twins are trying to develop them as everyday players.
That's just it. You've got to go through some growing pains if you want a guy to establish himself as a bona fide big leaguer. You're going to have to put up with a little bit of mistakes as they learn the game at this level. And Paul understands that. He's been on teams himself. He was that guy himself when he was young as a defensive third baseman.
2 strikes to Polanco. And Polanco rolls a hit to right field, and Castro will check in at second base. Well, the Twins trying to get back into the game here, and with a pair of 2-out hits, they've got 2 aboard for Eddie Rosario.
Eddie's first chance to continue his hitting streak.
You know, 15 games is impressive in and of itself, but this is a guy who's been, well, for this series, he's been hitting 9th, but he's been hitting 8th or 9th for almost all of that 15-game hitting streak. He hasn't had automatically 4 or 5 plate appearances to get those hits.
Yep. Well, he's going to be active. Anything in the strike zone or close, Eddie likes to swing the bat. He's not going up there to walk.
Twins with 3 singles, first 8 at bats against Porcello, but 3 strikeouts as well. Strike 1.
That was always one of my favorite quotes from my former teammate Kirby Puckett. He used to tell guys, you don't walk into the Hall of Fame. You're not up there to walk.
Foul back, and now 2 strikes.
There's the hot zones for Eddie Rosario during this current hitting streak. Throw it right down the middle, I guess. That's how you get him out.
Isn't that the definition of a bad ball hitter? You throw it right down the middle, and he's not going to do anything with it. But throw it a foot outside, and you end up backing up third base.
Now, of all those at-bats, he's only had 5 pitches down the middle.
And he chases, and the Twins strand a couple in the second and trail 8-0. Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Future bride, celebrating the upcoming nuptials here at the ballpark.
Yeah, they got to send that down to some golf course in Florida. Find the guy.
Here's Sandy Leon on the base hit after Young's home run. And then the air, and then the roof came. 1-0 from Rucinski to Leon. 2-0. Big swing and a miss, 2-1. Nubbed to Rucinski. Plenty of time, and Vargas kept a foot on the bag, and kind of a spry move on a low throw, one down.
Rucinski had a little bit more time than he thought there. Leon does not run well, but good job by the big man to keep his foot on the bag, come off and catch that ball.
One down, and that'll bring up Josh Rutledge.
Rucinski from Neenah, Wisconsin. You know where that is, right there by Toma on 94, heading towards Madison.
And there's a strike over the inside corner. Chopped at the plate. Well, the Rucinskis and Tempeshes of the world trying to take advantage of another opportunity. And sometimes when you try to put together a team in the off season, you present opportunities, some players earlier than others, and you never know which player will take advantage of the opportunity.
And you never know how many opportunities or chances you're going to get. And that's why it's so important to always be prepared to do the best you can. I know it's easier said than done. But how many bodies have worn Twins uniforms that had chances and just never developed into a staple?
Well, how many in the last 6 years that have been, for the most part, difficult to watch, and it wasn't for a lack of opportunity for particularly pitchers. 2 down in the third. In support of Mental Health Month this May, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and their commitment to replacing stigma with hope and improving the lives of families and those affected by mental health conditions. You can learn more about how to be stigma-free and visit foxsportsupports.com. One strike now to Mookie Betts. Missing inside. Tepesh trying to take advantage today of the opportunity given Adalberto Mejia, who had a great spring training. And the presumption is Mejia will get another opportunity maybe later this year.
Yeah, Tepesh, man, it just exploded. He was ambushed after 2 outs in the second inning. It seemed like he was pitching fairly well up until that point, and then ended up with 7 hits in the inning.
A 2-2.
And it's one of those days. I've been there. I know Bert's been there, where you're back in the clubhouse before you can blink and you wonder what happened. How did that happen? And can't wait to get another chance.
2-2. Popped up right field. Coming in is Grossman. And he makes a play. And Raczynski has a 1-2-3 third. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. On Fox Sports North is presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities, and by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Red Sox putting up, as you say, a snowman, but now Robbie Grossman drives one deep to right field on the first pitch, and Grossman hits his second home run of the year, and the Twins are on the board here in the third.
Well, he went to the plate ready to swing, and he got a pitch he liked and jumped all over it. Now we're 7 runs closer.
Well, the Twins have a long way to go, but Grossman at least gets them on the board. And now Mauer, who went down swinging, his first time up. Over the inside corner.
Porcello's had an interesting career. He was signed by the Tigers, and all he thought of there, Dave Dombrowski, the general manager of the Tigers at the time, kind of nursed this kid along and was patient with him. And he really never became the guy that they thought he'd be in Detroit. And then Dombrowski let go by Mike Ilitch in Detroit, ends up in Boston. Was able to sign 2 huge contracts, Miguel Cabrera and Justin Verlander, while he was the GM of Detroit. He goes over to Boston. They open up their wallets for him there too, and now he brings Rick Porcello back over. He brought David Price back over after having him in Detroit. So he's got his guys that and then Porcello finally blossoms last year.
2-2.
He's signed through the year 2019.
This one chipped to left, and Young has no play. Well, when the Tigers were really good, they had great starting pitching, and Porcello wasn't the front of the rotation guy in Detroit because of guys like Verlander and Scherzer, Sanchez, Price.
See, his career arsenal of pitches, primarily a fastball pitcher, and even in today's game we've seen a lot of moving fastball, especially the left-handers that start off the plate and come back across the plate.
Back. They say, though, that his sinker, his bread and butter pitch, or at least it was, he's throwing that less and less. He's mixed up his pitching arsenal more this year. And John Farrell brought up an interesting point. He said it's rare that you see somebody, a sinker ball pitcher, which Porcello still is, who has a really good curveball. Not very often you see that combination.
Well, I think he's picked up velocity as he's matured, and that's natural, I guess. But his sinker is a pitch that he's shifted sides on. He used to start it off the plate to left-handers or on the outside corner, run off the plate to be a ball. Sound familiar to anybody you know? And now he started off the plate on the inside and is coming back in the strike zone. Locks up a lot of the left-handed hitters.
Grounder to first, Moreland there to the bag, one away, long at bat. Mauer retired. And with all the wins and a ERA in the low threes and the run support that we've talked about, he was the Cy Young Award winner last year.
Yeah, really nobody close as far as the record. 22 wins last year for Boston. He stayed healthy all year. Here's another thing about Porcello. He's had several times on the disabled list for Detroit. You know, a little bit fragile for early part of his career, but they were protecting him like they do a lot of young pitchers with pitch count and those kind of things. And then last year he put it all together and had his first breakout year.
Big swing and a miss. Well, I asked you this before the game and you kind of touched on it before. Kyle Gibson's got about the same frame as Rick Porcello. Kyle Gibson, a sinker ball pitcher, working on a breaking ball and all that. What does Porcello have? Here's a high fly, left center field in the ballpark, though, and Benintendi makes the catch, 2 down. What does Porcello have that Kyle Gibson does not?
I'll just tell you, it's right in this game. 28 strikes out of 34 pitches coming into this inning. 7 first pitch strikes out of the first 9 batters he faced. So that itself says everything. Kyle Gibson has been a guy that falls behind hitters, rarely throws first pitch strikes this year, and that's something he's got to start doing. I mean, it's there. He's got the stuff to win. Everybody knows that. It's up to Kyle Gibson to figure that part of the game out and be more aggressive in the zone.
Sometimes you hear the phrase "trust your stuff." Is that part of it too for Kyle, do you think?
Yeah, but you know, you trust your stuff when you start having success. He hasn't had a lot of it lately.
Vargas, one hopper to the left side of the infield. The Twins get a first pitch home run by Robbie Grossman. They're on the board, but still trail 8-1.
Well, Joe Mauer's walk-off home run last night was a long time coming. It was the first of his career, meaning he played 1,615 games before getting to experience that moment. That's the longest wait of any active player in baseball, but he's not the only one in a Twin uniform that understands the waiting game. Paul Molitor went 1,649 games before notching his first walk-off home run. Both in the top 6 longest waits among all players since 1990. Guys, better late than never, right?
Yeah, that was a great moment for Joe, and he had a little self-deprecating humor with Audra in the postgame last night about, you know, hey, 14 years, it's about time, or, you know, however he phrased it, chopped foul. But they're wonderful moments, and Joe finally hit one over the fence. And put it in context, this is a team that is trying to stay competitive all year long. Played a really bad game Thursday and lost a lead in the 9th inning yesterday. That was a significant win for the Twins last night. This one poked to right, and Grossman comes in, makes a nice running catch, one away here in the 4th.
Every win's an important one. I don't know as though they make any difference whether they're in April, May, or August and September. You just need a win, and they came back. Closer in last night's game, Brandon Kinsler, you know, he didn't pitch all that bad, but balls found their way through the infield, and big hit came from Chris Young, who drove in the come from behind and go tying run.
Krasinski plays hopscotch, and Bogaerts has his second hit. He continues to punish Twins pitching.
And Bogaerts has just loved hitting here at Target Field, and the Twins in general. We talked about what he's done in his last 12 games against the Twins. Coming into today's game, he's hit .600.
Twins came into this game having, in the prior 27 games, allowed just 8 unearned runs. That's okay. That's a pretty good number, conservative number. And 7 of the 8 runs scored here today by the Red Sox are unearned runs, almost the season's total to this point, all because of one error. Benintendi with an RBI double and a run scored in that 8-run inning. Under the glove of Escobar. We've got a line out to right, and a couple of base hits, and that'll bring Ramirez to the plate with 2 men aboard.
The Red Sox certainly have had their hitting shoes on. Both Nick Tepesch and now Rucinski have allowed them to rat-a-tat that ball around. And they haven't been a lot of bleeders. These have all been solid base hits.
Seems like they should have more than the 9 hits that are posted. Got 7 hits in the second and 2 here in the 4th. Pitches up, ball 1. If you just joined us, Nick Tepesch, the starter, gave the Twins an inning and 2/3. Now Rucinski is in. He has given up 4 hits and 1 run. Oh my.
Almost got our manager.
Oh, that was very close.
Stands right on the top step of the dugout, and the ball hit the padding right in front of him.
That missed him by inches.
See Joe Vavra, a little bit older, a little wiser than Paul. He sits behind the screen there, peeks up over the top.
One and 1 to Ramirez. This time a full swing and a foul. Take a look at this. Got the padding right in front of Paul, and it bounced over the roof of the dugout. One and 2.
Only 2 Red Sox players haven't got a hit already, and we're only in the 4th inning.
And foul tip. And Ramirez heads back to the dugout with a strikeout. 2 down. Follow Twins Baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. You can stay connected to the game's best players all season long with game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat today, your #1 app for live baseball. Audra Martin, Jack Morris, Dick Bramer here. Game 2 of the series. And the Red Sox enjoying an 8-1 lead at this point. Here's Mitch Moreland. 1 strike.
If you're just joining us, the Sox scored all their runs, all 8 of them, in the 2nd inning. After 2 outs had been recorded.
Outside 1-1. Red Sox haven't lost 3 games in a row. Last night's loss was their 2nd in a row. And now Castro to the mound.
Well, this is a good time to go to the mound for Castro. He's not real familiar with Rosinski. And they need to talk things over. 8 runs that the Sox got there in the 2nd inning is a season high in any single game for them this year.
Big swing and a miss.
The Twins scored 8 runs in an inning this year.
Had 7 and 6 a couple times.
That's a big number. It's an ugly number when you're on the mound. Very ugly number. Almost. Well, the only way I'd have won on that is we scored 10 because I never lost with 10. But that's ugly.
Check swing, no swing.
Twins got 7 runs there on the 25th of April at Texas.
Two and two to Mitch Moreland. The double he got in the 2nd inning, his 14th double of the year. It's league leading by plenty. And now full count. The runners will take off here.
Pace of game. Cat and mouse game. Rosinski and Castro not quite getting on the same page with pitch selection here. It's kind of slowed down.
Runners go. And a foul tip. And Castro hangs on. A couple of strikeouts and a scoreless 4th for Rosinski. Thanks to Toyota, the Red Sox blowing it open in the second.
Yeah, a ball that was misplayed by Jorge Polanco kind of opened up the floodgates. Pedroia getting in the act with a 3-run double right here. And then Twins came back, did score 1 run. Robbie Grossman, a home run off Porcello in the bottom of the 3rd inning. But a huge 8-run second inning for Boston.
1-0 to Max Kepler leading off the Twins 4th, and he takes it up around the hands 2-0.
One thing that I really want to applaud Rick Porcello for doing in this game so far, he is established into the left-handers and he's staying in there.
Kepler lifts it to left harmlessly, it appears, to Chris Young, fighting the sun, and he makes the catch, 1 away. I suppose, I mean, Porcello's been around long enough to have concluded that regardless of the score, whatever your game plan was in the first inning, you maintain that until it stops working.
Yeah, sometimes these are the tougher games to pitch in. You get a huge lead and you can't let off the throttle. You have to keep pounding the ball where you want it to and try to maintain the focus that you had in a closer ball game.
Up the middle, cut off by Bogart. Beautiful play to retire Escobar. Almost made that look easy.
Yeah, going to his left and right behind the bag at second. The spin is what made it look effortlessly. Let's see how he gets to the ball. And a lot of guys will really go down. He just stood upright, made a nice athletic spin, didn't panic, and a nice easy toss over to Moreland there to get him out.
2 down, and that'll bring up Castro. Hooked a single into the right field corner his first time up.
The other thing, excuse me, Dick, Porcello just pounding the first pitch strike.
Yeah.
He's ahead of everybody. And that's one thing you certainly want to do with a big lead. You don't want to walk anybody. Your defense is going to play sharper behind you if you challenge hitters.
Rutledge will swing over on the right side now with Castro behind in the count 0-2. Yeah, that Tiger rotation a few years ago, I don't know how the Twins ever won a ball game. Verlander, a Cy Young Award winner. Scherzer, now a Cy Young Award winner. Porcello, a Cy Young Award winner. Anibal Sanchez won an ERA title.
Right, when he was pitching well.
And then the guy who gave the Twins as much trouble as anybody else is still out there on the market. Doug Fister hasn't signed with anybody.
Had a great year that year.
Check swing. And so as we look ahead to next weekend, I mean, Doug Fister's going to sign with somebody. And while Barrios might be the most logical internal candidate to be called up to be in the rotation next weekend, who knows whether Doug Fister might be.
Find out if Derek and Thad have been playing catch with them anywhere.
They're out scouting amateurs. Maybe they're scouting former pros too. 2-2. Fister, the last time I asked about him, he's been throwing, working out, I think with a college team to keep his arm ready. 100 pitches or wherever he's at. He had his own private spring training, if you will. 2-2. Twins trying to keep battling here in the event they can get back into this game. And Castro fights off an off-speed pitch. Tigers called up Porcello when he was 20 years old in 2009, and he was the guy who started the greatest regular season game in Twins history, game 163 at the Metrodome. Two and he pitched well in that game. Up high, 3-2. Polanco on deck. That was the final year of the Metrodome, and the Twins had already had their farewells to the stadium. I won't call it a ballpark. And then they had that one more game in 163. They won the game, and then they had a playoff game. Castro finally strikes out, and Porcello has retired 6 in a row. beautiful Saturday afternoon here. Pepsi fans of the game haven't enjoyed the ball game so much, but they're still managing to have a good time sitting in the sun. Temperature-wise, Jack Morris, when did you feel comfortable? Because you had to pitch in some cold weather at Tiger Stadium. And at what point did you feel physically comfortable?
Well, as a young player, I always took it as an advantage to pitch in cold weather. You know, I was the only guy in the field that stayed warm. I was the only guy moving around. The catcher was warm too, but his hand got sore on those cold days. Quite honestly, you kind of threw it under the bus there by not wanting to call the Metrodome a stadium, or I mean a ballpark. It was a stadium, but it was the place I had the most success.
Deep drive to left field. This has hit a ton. And Young's got another one.
Wow. That was another no-doubter.
Entered the game with no home runs. He's got 2 this afternoon. Both long drives to left field.
Makes it 9-1. But quite honestly, you know, the weather, temperature wasn't the key ingredient for me. It was wind. I just despise the wind. The wind always dried your body out quickly, whether it was warm wind or cold wind. You got stiff quicker in the wind, and that's one of the reasons I enjoyed pitching in the dome stadiums, whether it be the Metrodome or up in Toronto, Sky Dome, because it was wind free when the roofs were closed and 72 degrees. So, you know, I know there was adversity there. The turf, they were ballparks that the balls traveled well in, but if you did your job, kept the ball on the ground. We had great defensive teams in both Minnesota and Toronto. I did, behind me, so I had success there.
Did the wind, when it came up at, say, Tiger Stadium or wherever else you would have played, did it affect the flight of your pitches? Did you have to make adjustments? Well, before the splitter, you had a slider, you know, a spinning breaking ball. Did it impact?
Yeah, I just never wanted the wind in my face. It seemed like I was throwing uphill. You know, it just never felt like you had a lot of pop and a life in your fastball. But it was more psychological than anything. I really do believe.
Well, and I don't know anything about pitching, but it stands to reason to me that if the wind is blowing in your face as a pitcher, it's blowing out for the hitter. That'd be another reason you, right?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. 5th strikeout now for Drew Rosinski.
1 down, and that'll bring up Rutledge.
Like I say, early in my career, I learned to really appreciate cold weather days. I mean, I was a kid growing up in Minnesota. I was supposed to be the guy used to that.
Right.
And I tried to use it as a psychological advantage, knowing that hitters didn't like it. The ball stung their bats. You pitched inside a lot in those days. I did. Challenging them and try to get the bat head out.
1-1 to Rutledge. Breaking ball, another swing and a miss, 1-2. Lifted foul, out of play.
You know, it's funny how the ebbs and flows of baseball as a fan. Last night's game, dramatic finish to the game. Joe Mauer, the hometown hero, gets the big hit. You know, a fairly good crowd. It wasn't a sellout like we thought, or at least bodies in the seats. But a lot of people stuck around to watch the finish, and everybody's excited, in a good mood. You come today, you're expecting a great day, beautiful weather-wise. We've got a lot more people in the stands today. And then everything falls apart in one inning early in the ball game, and everybody's kind of quiet, anticipating a comeback, hopefully. But that's baseball.
Paraphrasing Tom Kelly, and others have probably expressed it, but Tom, I think more succinctly than others, said many times momentum is your next day's starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And Twins had a great opportunity after last night's game to not just get a win, but have that as a springboard. But then, you know, Tepish couldn't pitch around the air, and you got a short start and a lopsided score midway through the ball game.
Well, again, we go back to last night's game. Phil Hughes deserved to win. He pitched great last night, probably his best start this year.
And a walk will send Rutledge to first base. And the Twins would love it if Rucinski can find the resolve here to complete the 5th inning and then maybe make a change.
That's the first walk that he's issued, along with 5 strikeouts. He's been throwing the ball in the strike zone.
Mookie Betts 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Open in, ball 1.
What makes baseball unique among other sports is these kind of days. You look at the outfielders, you look at the infielders. There's been a lot of standing around defensively, anticipating, but you know, they know the significance of being down by 8 runs again now. It's a tough road to come back on. The odds say you don't do it, and yet you still have a half a game to play. You're a professional. You're paid to go out and compete, and you never know. We've seen comebacks from these kind of games before.
And a strike. Rucinski might be running on fumes at this point.
Well, he's kind of peaked out in the low 90s with his fastball, so he's got adequate stuff. He's, for the most part, thrown strikes. He's issued the walk there to Rutledge.
On the ground, Sano fires out there, relay to first.
Got it.
Double play. So Rucinski does get through the 5th inning. Young started the inning with a home run, and it's 9-1.
Lead as we head into the bottom of the 5th inning. We are in the Minnesota State Lottery winner's circle with 2 very proud parents and a very adorable little girl. This is Vivi, Goran, and Vanessa. You guys are here celebrating the little one's first game. You guys having a good day so far?
Yes, we are. It's great.
She's grabbing everything. She got my pen. She had my microphone a second ago, guys. So I think we have a future broadcaster here. But you guys are going to take home $100 worth of scratch-off tickets. Hopefully they're a winner because you could set that money aside, maybe future college fund.
There you go. We'll need it.
All right. Well, congratulations. Enjoy the game and enjoy the day with the little one, guys.
Or maybe a box of diapers, apparently, if they win any money with the lottery. Here's Polanco. Rosario and Grossman will follow. Polanco with a single his first time up.
And Porcello's just been throwing strikes for the most part. 45 strikes out of 62 pitches thrown so far. A lot of first pitch strikes. He's got a big lead to work with. He hasn't had that in quite some time, so he knows what's at stake here. His second win of the year is what he's trying to accomplish.
2-1 to Polanco. Last year when we were in Boston, I had the opportunity to talk to Porcello for a few minutes and asked him specifically about game 163, what he remembered about that game. And he says he remembers at least 3 times thinking the Tigers had won that game. And if you remember that game, it was a 1-game play-in for the playoffs. The ball lifted to center, playable for Benintendi. 1 down. I think each team felt at one point they were going to win that game until the Twins finally did win it with Alexi Casilla grounding the base hit that scored Carlos Gomez. 1 down now, Rosario.
You see Eddie's batting average, how well it's come back up. He's around the 300 mark now. Started the year, the first month, well below that. Let's take a look at the splits this season. First 11 games hitting $154, just 6 hits, and since then rattled off a 15-game hitting streak. Trying to extend that right here.
2-0. It'll be interesting to see what the lineup looks like tomorrow against Chris Sale for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
The status of Dozier, the status of Buxton. Here's a drive to center. This is hit pretty well. Benintendi going back and reaches out, makes the catch 410 feet from home plate. Fine play by Benintendi. Only in Minnesota can you build an historic 14,000 square foot museum revolving around 6 simple ingredients. The Spam Museum houses a mix of galleries from the old location plus new experiences, including the iconic product's popularity around the globe, the Spam brand today and its history with the military. Plan your getaway at exploreminnesota.com. Share your favorites with #OnlyAnMN. Sometimes when we've gone down to Austin on the Caravan, we've gotten a tour of the Spam Museum.
I've never been there. Been to Austin, but never been to the museum.
You've had Spam, right?
Of course, yeah.
2 down in the 5th. Grossman at the plate, and with 2 strikes, Rutledge moves over to the right side of the infield. Grossman clobbered a home run, his 2nd of the year, leading off the 3rd inning. In fact, it was Porcello's first pitch of the inning. Two and 2. Well, the Twins have a whole bunch of switch hitters, and as many as possible, I imagine, will be in the lineup tomorrow against Chris Sale. Left-handers are hitting 118 against him. Right-handers aren't doing a whole lot better, but left-handers he has dominated. Short center field, Benintendi trying to go into a slide, but can't make the play, and Grossman has a pop fly single.
Didn't get a good jump on this. Sunny day here, and I'm sure he didn't pick up the ball right away. You can see how long it took him to get going, and then he tries to make that sliding catch, and the ball just goes off the end of his glove. Ruled a base hit.
brought up a point last night about Buxton and Torrey Hunter too. They sell out on plays like that and dive head first, where you actually have an advantage. That appeared to be a ball that Benintendi, if he had made a head first dive, would have been able to make the play.
Perhaps. More than likely, I think the chances are better.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The angle of which is coming down should have a impact of whether you dive or not. The ball's not going to go anywhere. It's coming straight down. So why not dive head first?
A rocket to center. And Benintendi, even with his inability to catch Grossman's ball. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Brzezinski came in the second inning, did okay, gave up a couple runs, but he gave the Twins some innings.
Yeah, 3 1/3 innings, allowed the 5 hits, 2 runs. One of those runs was right as he came in the game, but after that kind of settled in. He allowed just the 1 walk, which was last inning, to Rutledge, and struck out 5. So he gets a C+, B- for his effort today.
Craig Breslow, the latest Twin to wear number 47, coming in for the 12th time.
Well, he's been a situational guy for Paul Molitor this year, and not really a guy that they're going to extend to too many innings. They want him to maybe bridge the gap and pitch a couple innings at most. They'll get Pedroia, Bogaerts, and Benintendi kind of the heart of their lineup. All 3 guys have had hits in the game. Bogaerts, Benintendi with multi-hits in this game already.
Were you always wearing number 47?
I was.
Fly center field, and Kepler over, now back, tracking it, one away. And that was just what was issued to you by the Tigers, and you just kept it?
I kept it in Detroit, obviously. When I came to Minnesota, gosh, I'm trying to think of the pitcher that wore that.
I can tell you, he's a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, he's a left-hander.
Gary Wayne.
Gary Wayne came up to me and he said, "I'll give you this number. It's your number." And I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "No, you should have it." So I got it. I went to Toronto. I don't think anybody had worn it during that time in Toronto, so I had it there. And then same thing in Cleveland. Nobody was wearing 47 at the time. So Gary Wayne, the only guy to give up the number to let me wear the same number.
And I'm sure you did the honorable thing and got Gary a Rolex or something like that.
Well, I bought him a Rolls.
A Rolls?
A roll. Yeah. I brought him
Went to a bakery and bought him a roll.
Right.
That's different than buying somebody a roll.
It sounds like Rolls, but I could have bought him 2, I guess. Then it would have been Rolls.
Bogaerts with 2 more hits against the Twins today. Ricky Nolasco wore number 47 last 3 years for the Twins.
Francisco Liriano wore it.
Corey
Koski wore it.
Rich Robertson, Brett Merriman.
Were they after me?
They were Brett Merriman, yes, and Rich Robertson were after you to the gap, and Bogaerts hustles with his 3rd hit of the day, and this one's a double.
Man, that guy loves Target Field. 2 singles and a double, a run scored.
And coming into today, in the last 12 games against the Twins, he's hit not 300, not 400, not 500. He's hit 600, and his average against the Twins in that span's going up today.
Crazy how many multi-hit games he's had too.
And last year, in back-to-back games here, he had 4 hit games. He's got 3 already here today. Here is Benintendi, a double and a single. And Breslow will get Bogaerts in a rundown, an early throw, and that will allow the runner to go to second base. So Bogaerts stayed in the rundown long enough to allow Benintendi to replace him at second base. Benintendi reaching in a fielder's choice, 2 down.
Breslow gets the ball and he finds it in his glove, and he does the right thing by circling, forcing Bogaerts to go back towards the base. And then when he runs out of the baseline, third base umpire, you see, rules him out.
I think what John Farrell is saying, hey, Polanco ran into my man, made contact with him while he was still in the rundown.
Yeah, he's out.
But it was on the infield grass.
Yeah, out of the baseline. So John Farrell's wasting our time right now.
There's no question that Bogaerts and Polanco made contact. And you can see, well, at least 1 foot for Bogaerts was in on the infield grass. And that, by any interpretation, has to be considered out of the baseline. When you look where it is and then you draw an imaginary line between second base and third base, that's like 6 feet inside of the proposed baseline.
Yeah. I don't know where he's going. Exit stage left right there.
It's an old Snagglepuss line.
You know about Snagglepuss.
Yes, I do. I know about Snagglepuss. Exit stage left. Here's Hanley Ramirez. One 1-0 to Ramirez. Hit hard to center. Kepler with the catch. The inning ends. Heavens to Murgatroyd. The Twins are down 9-1. Front Target Field's become the top choice for families throughout Twins territory, celebrating all kinds of special occasions. You can schedule your special event in a fully catered Target Field suite available for groups of 16 to 150 plus. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/groups or call 800-33-TWINS. Schedule your suite here at the ballpark. Miguel Sano will lead off the 6th for the Twins. Sano with a single and a fly to center. Ball 1. Sano, Vargas, and Kepler facing Rick Porcello. Slower breaking ball off the plate, 2-0.
Just got a update about Noah Syndergaard. Will not throw for at least 6 weeks.
Yeah. And as we mentioned right after the injury occurred, it sounds identical to what Ryan Pressly went through a couple years ago. And Pressly was shut down in early July and never did pitch again. Pressly a relief pitcher, Syndergaard a starter. But both pitchers rely on velocity, and everybody's different, but that's a serious injury that he suffered. And there is Ryan Pressly. Two and 2 to Sano. And now a full count. Jay Bruce for the Mets, Freddie Freeman of the Braves, and Sano for the Twins. The only players to lead in all the significant offensive categories for a team. And he took a called 3rd strike. Porcello locked him up, and Sano looked like he thought he'd drawn ball 4. 1 down. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. Combine home and auto and see how much you can save. Here's Vargas 0 for 2.
Porcello recording his 6th strikeout. Yeah, that ball up in the zone, but Sano walked towards first base like it was not even close, and the ball's across the plate.
Vargas takes ball 1. You're talking about Syndergaard. Well, here's the pitch that struck out Miguel Sano. Target down and away. Yeah, that was right down the middle.
Yeah, I don't know how that cannot be a strike.
Up and in, 2-1. Red Sox have some injury issues in their rotation, as we showed you last night. Stephen Wright done for the year. Red Sox are hopeful that a healthy David Price will return to them. Big swing and a miss, 2-2.
Yeah, it's so important for the Red Sox to compete in the upper echelon of the American League East. There's David Price. Baltimore and New York have both gotten off to good starts this year. Toronto, the mystery team in the East, they've kind of done what the Twins did last year to start the season. They're expected to be competitive in their division.
Last year at this point the Twins were 8-19. The Blue Jays are 10-19. Not a whole lot better. 2-2 to Vargas. Orioles are surprising a lot of people, but now they're going to have to be without Zach Britton, it appears, for a while. To the left field corner and down for a hit, and into the seating area, ground rule double. So Vargas cracks a double to the opposite field, and that'll bring up Kepler.
Good to see Kenny getting on base here, going the other way on this pitch. See, he didn't try to do too much with it. The ball was sinking down and away, and he went with the pitch. Kept it fair, and then it bounces up into the seats.
Kepler 0 for 2, called out on strikes in the 2nd, hit a fly ball to left in the 4th. Inside ball 1.
He's going to make a mistake to Kepler on the inner part. Kepler loves that ball in when he's ready for it. You can see he seems to be a little bit more open this at bat. They're going to try to stay in there.
Got a good swing, fouled it back. 1-1. 90th pitch coming up for Porcello.
No activity yet in the Red Sox bullpen. Just Ryan Presley out there throwing for the Twins. I think Porcello's gotten to the point in his career where the 100 pitch doesn't necessarily equate to him. It could be 110, 115, especially in this kind of ball game.
Well, you could argue the point that he's not thrown one pitch under duress here. Well, maybe to Rosario after the Twins had a couple of 2-out singles, but by then he'd already been given a big 8-run lead. 2-1 to Kepler. Strike called.
Well, I don't know what duress really means. I mean, I know what point you're trying to make, but everybody and every pitch has meaning and purpose. I just think it's more of a case where Porcello's not a max effort guy. He doesn't grunt and just exert himself on every pitch. He's a pitcher. He's just flipping the ball up there. And he's topping out in the low 90s with his fastball. But he's got a good arsenal of pitches. Curveball, changeup, good sinker, both sides of the plate. And he's been filling the strike zone up with first pitch strikes too.
Right field, chased by Betts, and he makes the catch on the edge of the track. Tagging from second, Vargas will gain third base.
Just missed that pitch.
We'll bring up Escobar.
Gotta believe at some point Eduardo Escobar's tempted to dance his way up to the batter's box. During batting practice every day when they play his favorite Latin music, he's out there just having the time of his life. God bless him for doing that. He's a pro. He's not going to do that to show anybody up, but you just feel like it's in him. Like he wants to go up there and do a little salsa step.
Driven to right.
Get out.
And Betts is there to catch the line drive. The Twins leave Vargas aboard and trail by 8. grand casino story of the game to this point has been decided in the second inning. Jorge Polanco committing just his second error of the season. But then the Red Sox feasted and scored 8 runs in the inning, 7 of them unearned runs against the team. And this was all occurring after the second out. And then Grossman got one back with a first pitch home run against Rick Porcello, but the score sits at 9-1. And the leadoff man will be Mitch Moreland in the 7th inning. Then Chris Young, then Sandy Leon, and they'll be taking their swings against Ryan Presley, the former Boston farmhand. And this is not a wasted inning for, I don't think, Presley, who needs to
pitch better,
but I think sharpen his command.
Yeah.
And this is an outing that could be beneficial for Ryan as he tries to get better command of that breaking ball.
Well, when he was pitching well, that was a huge part of his arsenal. He can touch the high 90s with a fastball, but he's been beat up with it because it's been right there. And that's something he's got to work on. He can't just rear back and throw. Pitches have to have a purpose, and command and location is a huge part of that.
We'll bring up Chris Young, who's clubbed 2 home runs, and neither one left any doubt when they left home plate. Up to the shadows. That was the earned run that Tepesh allowed.
See the guy fall?
Yeah. So Young, who came into the game without a home run, already has 2. You know, things are so detail oriented, and the preparation so much broader than it used to be. So the Red Sox come to town here, and if they wanted to, and I'm guessing most of them probably did, you could look at Presley's, well, first of all, the scouting reports of most teams now have an advanced scout that looks at video and has a thumbnail sketch of everybody, and then you can actually look at the video of Presley's last 5 outings and see that he's had a hard time commanding his breaking ball. And then you can, in this case, get up there and sit on a fastball.
Yeah, it's so important to have a secondary pitch, and in Ryan's case, I think he needs to incorporate something that's off speed. Even his curveball is thrown very hard.
Good fastball on the corner, and it's 2-2.
There's a lot of guys in baseball like him nowadays, especially out of the bullpen. Rear back, let it fly.
When we've seen him pitch well, and for most of the year last year, he pitched much better than he has to this point this year. I mean, his breaking ball was a weapon. Squibb.
Get over there
to Vargas, who makes a fine play to get Young at first. Kenny Vargas backhanding it and lying down on the grass. He found Ryan Presley.
Well, the awareness of being able to get the ball out of your glove, he knows that he doesn't have time to get up. It's not going to, he's not going to get up in a hurry, and yet he's smart enough and just recognizes that Presley's covering, and he finds the baseball in his glove, and while on his back, flips it over to first base.
I don't think he's ever going to compete on Dancing with the Stars, but that was a nice little play.
You never know, he might get a small opponent that he can just use like a baton.
I got my money on Sano making it a Dancing in the Stars before Kenny Vargas. There's Sandy Leon. Well, that was a good breaking ball by Presley that got a weak ground ball to the right side. The dirt, ball 1.
So much of pitching, you know, I could get technical here in my thoughts, but so much of pitching is about body control. And, you know, Neil Allen and I had a brief talk yesterday we were talking about Nick Tepesh, and it got extended into philosophies of pitching. But
base hit right field. Grossman charges. And no throw cut off by Vargas.
held Moreland at third base there.
First and third, one down for Rutledge.
But we were talking about finishing off and body control and how to be consistent as a pitcher, whether you're in the bullpen or not. You have to land in the same spot. Your chin and head have to be towards the catcher's glove, and you have to release the ball out in front. And those are the consistencies. No matter what happens to get to that point, that's where you have to finish. It's like a good hitter. Roy Smalley will talk next week mostly about hitting and what he sees in guys, and it's about balance and body control in the batter's box. So there's a lot of similarities, even though they're two different forms of art forms in a way of baseball. You know, that you have to be able to be in control. And you see so many pitchers today that have that, you know, they'll turn around and they're so impressed with the radar gun because it does mean a lot. Velocity can mean a lot, but without command, it's meaningless because every major league hitter can adjust to the mid-90s fastball if it's left up over the plate.
And in Presley's case, if it's straight as a dart.
Yeah. Or that guy right there who's been in command today, certainly spotted with a great cushion early, but he's had tremendous movement in the strike zone, nothing straight, and he's been ahead of every hitter. Now that ball right there, Castro was supposed to be able to frame. He looked like he took that one away. Kind of caught that ball with his glove down.
1-1 to Rutledge. Fastball off the plate.
And you can see, just watch Jason Castro and where he sets up and how that Ryan Presley's had a tough time hitting his glove.
Fox Tracks presented by Carrier. Just, well, I guess Fox Tracks had that right on the down and away corner.
But you saw how Castro caught it. His glove went down.
And another fastball hit to center field. It'll be an RBI single for Rutledge, and coming in is Moreland. Three singles. The out recorded on a good breaking ball from Presley, and now Mookie Betts.
Ball on the outer part of the plate, but about belt high. And Rutledge went out and got it.
Betts 0 for 3, hit into a double play his last time up. Fastball at the knees. Fastballs consistently clocked at 95. One and one.
Well, I can testify to you right now that both your partners that were former pitchers rarely touched 95 in our careers. Bert Blyleman in the Hall of Fame. He was in the 90s, but rarely above 90, 95. It was a rare day. Great curveball.
Took a little off and got a pop up to short, 2 down. That'll bring up Pedroia.
So certainly Ryan Presley has enough stuff to be very successful. It's just about command.
Twins are hoping to stay competitive and play on the north side of the 500 mark this year. For that to happen, there are a lot of things that have to happen, but one of them is the bullpen. The relief pitchers who would be counted on to pitch late in the game in a game that's winnable, tied, or you've got the lead, need to perform consistently, and Presley's on that list. He just hasn't pitched as well as he did at any point last year.
Well, what I'm seeing from Ryan Presley is look at how his body's going this way. He did it on his last 2 pitches.
1-1. fastball cutting up and in.
Your body has to be under control, and I know a lot of guys land on their heel and spin off to get that extra whip, but it takes away from command. He could lose it a mile an hour or two and still have tremendous success if he had better command.
Back to Presley. 3 singles and another Boston run that they probably aren't going to need. Looking forward to, and I think I can speak for our viewers as well, looking forward to tomorrow. It should be a great pitchers duel. Chris Sale against Ervin Santana, and that's what will be next. Brought to you by CenturyLink, final game of the series. Sale's been outstanding, and if it's possible to be better than outstanding, that's what Ervin Santana's been. Castro drives one to right, and it hits the top of the padding, and Castro will dig for second. He has a leadoff double.
Multi-hit game for Jason. Yeah, tomorrow's game, if you're a real baseball fan, you get excited about that matchup. You don't see those classic matchups. These two guys battling for almost all pitching category leads right now. Chris Sale been on a roll with strikeouts, and of course everybody in Twins territory knows what kind of start Ervin Santana's had. Both guys will be trying to pitch a game to win a series, so it should be a good one.
Polanco, the batter. Now, in the last couple of years, the Twins have handled Sale very well, but he's at the very top of his game now, and I expect the Twins will have their hands full.
Well, he doesn't really stand a chance. I know they're going to wax him, so get here early, but just in case he is dialed in, it could be a classic.
1-0. Lifted to left center field. Benintendi makes the catch. One down, and that'll bring up Rosario, trying to extend his hitting streak. We're running out of time here. 16 starts and an ERA of over 4 and an 8-6 mark, but he's beaten the Twins once and had what, 4 or 5 losses the last 2 years he was with the White Sox.
Yeah, that's the highest ERA he has against any one opponent, and you're right. I think at one time he was probably 8-2, and the Twins have kind of got to him the last few years, last few starts anyway.
I know in the middle of last year, asking Robert Ventura, the White Sox manager, of course Sale was pitching for Chicago then, whether they suspected that Sale might be tipping his pitches. And Robin said, well, yeah, we've looked at all that. And wouldn't tell me what they concluded, but you know, when you have a team that has such extraordinary success against an otherwise great pitcher, that's one of the things you would suspect, that the Twins have something on sale. We'll see whether that is the case tomorrow. Foul back. No guarantee that the ninth inning will bring Rosario's spot back around in the batting order. So trying to extend his hitting streak to 16 games with Mike Trout holding the longest active streak at 17. 0-2 to Rosario. Fouled back.
Well, during a streak, especially once you get above 10, 15 hits in a row, I think every hitter gets to a point where it comes down to the last at bat, and the pressure that they must be under, especially when they're behind in the count like Eddie is right now. You got to make contact. It's a tough thing to do, and a lot of the smart pitchers are totally aware, and they're not going to throw you a strike. You know, there's a chance that Eddie won't see another strike this at bat. Little activity now. Ben Taylor up and throwing for the Red Sox. Porcello probably going to be done after this inning for sure. Pitch count at 101.
Six strikeouts, 4 groundouts, and 9 fly ball outs, suggesting what John Farrell has said, that he's not relying on the sinker as much. There's a high fly to the right field corner, and Betts has no play. That ball looked like it was head high, and Rosario got the barrel of the bat on it somehow.
Now here's a little look at what Rick Porcello has featured today. You can see early in the game, very good command of the inside corner to left-handers. Good variety of pitches. Got a good running, sinking fastball, slider there to Rosario in his previous bat. Up in the zone to Grossman. Moving the ball around in the strike zone.
It's lifted to Benintendi. 2 down. And now Robbie Grossman. Grossman with 2 hits, including a home run against Porcello on the first pitch of the bottom of the 3rd. Swing and a grounder foul. And another foul over the tarp. 2 strikes.
Pretty consistent there. Pitches by inning for Rick Porcello. Now 1 inning over 20, so he's done a good job with the pitch count.
Up and away, 1-2. And now 2-2.
One thing Leon and Porcello have done is they'll miss off the plate, and I think that might have even been a strike right there, that last pitch, but they'll come right back in there. And after a while, that umpire is given no choice but to start calling it. If it's borderline, he comes right back in. He's shown that he can command that part of the plate.
It's twisting about 3 feet foul.
Still the hardest pitch in the world to hit, in my opinion, is a fastball on the inside part of the plate just below the hands. And yet you rarely see pitchers pitch there, because if they miss, and they miss out over the plate, up or down, it's in the real strength of most hitters.
Right.
But you have to miss off the plate, and hitters hate it. They hate being pitched hand high inside. But Porcello consistently staying there all day today.
Benintendi will get another opportunity coming in for the catch. And you're watching Twins baseball, presented by State Farm.
Wrap up their series with the Boston Red Sox on Sunday afternoon. Our coverage begins at 12:30 p.m. here on Fox. With your Mall of America Studio Sports Update. Spend your Sunday afternoon with us because the Twins wrap up their series with the Boston Red Sox on Sunday afternoon. Our coverage begins at 12:30 p.m. here on Fox Sports North.
And again, the headliners will be the starting pitchers in that game. Chris Sale for the Red Sox and Irvin Santana for the Twins. Twins won a nail-biter last night. So far today, it's been a blowout for the Red Sox.
It has been. Rick Porcello going strong 7 innings, so going to be a rested bullpen for the Sox. All but 3 Twins relievers, or 4, excuse me. Half the Twins bullpen has been used in this game. Conklin, you see his numbers this year. Latest Twins reliever to come in the game. And somebody needs to try to get this guy out. Xander Bogaerts just been owning target field.
Hits his last 3 times up, 2 singles and a double. Strike on the outside corner from Michael Tonkin. Bogaerts held to just 1 hit last night, making up for lost time here today. To left, and Rosario's there to catch the line drive. 1 away.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
A more subdued read than last night, but that's understandable. It's been kind of a lopsided game for most of the telecast.
Yeah, the bottom line, you know, I was listening to you and Tori And Torrey tried to describe what the bottom line on that one is get permission from the Twins if you want to
use this for any reason.
Yeah, for any reason, other than your own personal use if you're watching it.
Some games are fun to revisit and watch again, maybe in the wintertime.
You know, the only
this isn't one of them.
Yeah, Porcello might want to watch this again. Remind his teammates how they scored a lot of runs for him. That's about it.
Have you ever watched Game 7 of the '91 World Series? And if so, how many times?
I have. In recent years, only because somebody has invited me into a studio to relive it.
Right.
Like MLB did with John Smoltz and I a few years back. But prior to that, I watched it maybe 3-4 times.
Base hit to right for Benintendi. And I've asked you this, I remember the answer, but share with the viewers. I mean, when I watched that game, I still get nervous, even though I know how it turns out. And it makes no sense, but it's you know, so much was on the line, so much was at stake, and so many dire circumstances. When you see, you know, what was the bases loaded and 1 out, Sid Bream coming to the plate, or you know, whatever, what do you think?
Well, first of all, it's always nice to know the result. And quite honestly, what I do is I reflect back at what my mindset was, and I didn't have negative thoughts during that game. I've shared this with you many times. So, you know, I was in probably a lot better control or command of my thought process than most fans were.
Breaking ball and a strike. 0-2 to Hanley Ramirez.
What's funny is, why is it that we migrate? You know, Twins fans always remind me of Game 7 everywhere I go.
Right.
Game 7 games. So it's like, I want to look at them. You know, how many games I pitched in my career, and you want to talk about one game? Let's talk about some other game. You know?
Well, at least it was, you know, a great moment in your career. How'd you like to be Bill Buckner? How many people ask him about the ball that went through his legs?
Yeah.
A 2 out now, runner at first for Mitch Moreland. And this is Marrero, I believe. Yep, Marrero hitting in what was Moreland's spot.
Devin Marrero.
And Tonkin misses, ball 1. Big swing and a miss. Marrero entered the game last night as a pinch runner. And Tonkin gets ahead of him, 1-2. Missed. Tonkin thought he had the corner. 2-2. Tonkin expected to pitch through the 8th, and then we'll see who gets the 9th inning.
Here's the last pitch.
Well, it's off the plate.
Migrated off the plate.
Full count. Curious who gets the 9th inning.
Well, maybe Michael Tonkin. Nobody's throwing right now.
Yeah.
Twins fans, so they might want him to extend a couple innings, hoping that Irvin will do what Irvin's done and get deep into the game tomorrow.
And now a walk. First and second, 2 down. And Young will have another chance for a 3rd home run. Two solo home runs. Vargas made a nice play on a bid for ground ball single his last time up. Inside ball 1.
I don't know how many times I've seen Michael Tonkin throw a slider, catcher sitting in the outer part of the plate. He doesn't finish it off. His body goes to the right a little bit. It's that washing machine type of spin that doesn't do anything, and it backs up for a ball on the inside part of the plate to a right-hander. It's such a fine line between finishing off that breaking ball and not for him because of his arm slot and how he gets rid of the ball out in front of his body. If it's back just a little bit and his body's rushing a little bit, then he always has that backup spin, doesn't spin at all.
Sano tries to tag the runner, and he got him. Benintendi hustling to third, and Sano, with the ball in his bare hand, tagged the runner who doesn't want to leave third base.
Well, Sano not exactly running off the field, so I'm not sure he's totally confident in that. He got him.
He got him.
He got him.
Right there. That's the end of the inning. The Red Sox leave 2.
Red Sox lead. Coming up after the game on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink, we'll take a look at where this one all went wrong. Today was a costly error by Jorge Polanco. We'll break that down. We'll also take a look at Drew Rosinski's solid debut in relief, and we'll bring you the thoughts from Paul Molitor in his post-game press conference. That's all coming your way following the game on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. Guys.
Thank you, Audra. John Farrell got 7 effective innings from Rick Porcello. Now Ben Taylor's going to pitch at least the 8th inning for the Red Sox, and he'll face Joe Mauer. See the walks a little high for the 8 2/3 inning, 6 walks.
So it's still less than a walk an inning.
Yeah,
we'll take it.
Mauer's 0 for 3, lined out to Benintendi his last time up. Strike on the outside corner. One and one. Would expect Joe to be back at first base tomorrow. How many other left-handed hitters will be in the lineup remains to be seen. Twins may come back with Jimenez to catch Santana tomorrow. That's sliced to left, a base hit. And Mauer will round first, head back to first base with a strong throw by Chris Young. Mauer with a single leading off the 8th inning. Now A-Ray Adrianza will bat in his Twins debut, hitting for Miguel Sano. Adrianza got quite a bit of exposure in spring training. Then he got hurt the last week of camp on a rehab assignment. Just showed up here yesterday, being called up when the Twins designated Danny Santana. Adrianza, towards the end of his rehab assignment, saw time in the outfield just to broaden his versatility.
Well, the scouting report on him is he's got a great glove, and it's one of the reasons the Twins did not want to let him go back to San Francisco.
A switch hitter. Hits it to center. Benintendi moves toward the gap, makes the catch. One away. And that'll get Vargas to the plate. There remains no activity in the Twins bullpen, so it is assumed that Tonkin will be sent back out there for the 9th inning. Vargas.
At this point, wait until we score 9 straight runs, and then there's going to be some activity.
There you go. Like that. Strike one over the inside corner. Vargas cracked a double his last time up. And now a ball. Over the Boston dugout and out of play.
The shift on for Vargas. 3 men on the right side of the infield.
Up and in, 2-2.
See the outfield playing him pretty much straight away.
Hit into the shift. And a double play. And the Twins are done in the 8th inning. But a really ugly game, a really ugly score. 10-1 Boston. That's ugly, isn't it?
Not for the Sox fans.
No.
For our fans, it certainly is.
Ray Adrianza taking over in second, and Eduardo Escobar moving over to third. And Michael Tonkin will be asked to pitch to the Red Sox in the 9th. He'll face Leone, Rutledge, and Betts.
You know, I asked Carlos Font of Latin interpreter for the Twins about the pronunciation of Arianza's first name. And he told me he pronounces it Ade. There's no D. And he says that's how he pronounces it.
Ade or Ada. And I'm not going to try to do the Spanish R roll. But
R?
Yeah. I mean, that's an R.
Yeah.
You do that well, by the way.
Well,
if I tried that,
I could have been
like
Latin, but I wasn't introduced to it early enough in life.
Okay.
I wish I would. I wish I could speak Spanish. I really do. I should take it and try to learn it. Never too old to learn, are you?
No. Both my kids took extensive Spanish. And my claim to fame, I don't know if I've told you this. Foul back. I believe I am the last Minnesota high school student who took Latin.
You probably are.
I think I'm the last guy.
Oh, there's got to be some school that teaches it still. Why, I'm not sure.
2 strikes to Leon. Drive to right and spanked pretty good. And it's another home run off Michael Tonkin. Leon hitting his second. And the Red Sox now have 11 runs and 16 hits.
Well, get them out of your system.
Well, I was thinking about that long about the 6th inning. The Red Sox hitters are going to be tired with all the running on the bases they've done. Michael Tonkin has now pitched 10 2/3 innings, and he's given up 4 home runs. Rutledge, the batter. Strike 1, now ball 1. And fouled back. One and 2. Two and 2.
Again, we talk about Michael Tonkin and his inability to locate his pitches. Just rearing back and throwing it and hoping. Just cannot control both sides of the plate with his primary pitch, that being the fastball that can touch the mid-90s, the high 90s. And then the inconsistency of his slider is the only other pitch that he throws.
And now the number 9 batter walks. Rutledge has been on base 4 times this afternoon.
Second walk for Rutledge.
And that'll bring up Mookie Betts.
And second walk for Michael Tonkin.
Right fielder Mookie Betts.
You can see that Betts the only starter without a hit in the lineup today. So he'll have a chance to get on the hit parade.
Ball 1. Michael Tonkin, by the way, has faced 7 batters and retired just 3 of them here.
Now he's going to get this inning. They're going to let him throw as many as he wants to get a couple more outs.
To right field and deep. Backpedaling is Grossman. And there's the first out of the 9th inning. That'll bring up Pedroia. Pedroia in a 11-1 game might seem odd to say this, but his second inning at bat turned the game around. There were 2 outs. Score at the time was just 1-0. And the bases were loaded. And Pedroia drilled one to the gap in left center and drove in 3 runs, and the Red Sox haven't been challenged since. In fact, they followed Pedroia's double up with 4 more hits and ended up scoring 8 runs in the inning. 1-0 to Pedroia.
I equate it to Boston has a lot of day games similar to this weather that we're having right now. Cool East Coast breeze, and they're used to this. I think they're at home in this weather right now.
Okay.
And tomorrow it's going to be a few degrees warmer, and a lot less humidity. You won't smell the sea salt in the air.
We'll be smelling baseball tomorrow.
And,
that's Irvin Santana's
no
slogan.
seagulls flying around.
Yeah. Okay.
And Irvin's going to step up.
3-0 to Pedroia. And a 4-pitch walk. Tonkin has thrown 33 pitches. And here comes Paul Molitor.
And there's nobody throwing in the pen, so Paul just wants to talk to him here. This rarely happens.
He's taking the ball. And I think Jimenez is going to finish the game. That's what I was wondering about in the 8th inning when Tonkin was out there, whether we might see Jimenez. And so for the second time this year, Jimenez will finish a ball game. And Tonkin's unable to complete 2 innings here. And Jimenez will make his second appearance on the mound.
Warming up in the batting cages, I presume.
Yep. Jimenez pitched a scoreless 1/3 of an inning.
I got to ask you this. What's the conversation with the infielders right there? They all gather around. They're watching their teammate who is a catcher.
Right.
Well, pitch, try to get the last couple outs.
Conversation was probably in Spanish, I'm guessing, with Escobar, Polanco, and Adrianza and Vargas, and maybe asking what would have to happen for either one of us
well,
to be asked to pitch.
I believe Escobar's saying I could handle this because he's been in that situation.
Bogaerts has 3 hits. His last time up, he lined out to the left fielder. And we have a delay of some sort. I'm not sure. People are looking out toward left field for some reason.
The clock is still.
Oh, we still have 13 seconds. Jimenez was too quick in his preparation here. He's ready to go before the clock is. The clock is supposed to speed things up, and in this case, it's slowing it down.
There it goes.
Strike 1. At 66 miles per hour. It was either that speed or that's as low as our radar gun will go. No, it's down to 64. He's tiring.
Fatigue has set in.
Just lost a little bit off his fastball. And Kepler with a nice sliding catch. And Bogaerts has denied his 4th hit again, hitting the ball hard. 2 down. And now Andrew Benintendi. Benintendi with 3 hits. And his average up to 322. Popped up.
Makes it easy.
And tomorrow's starter might be Chris Jimenez. You may have a developing story here. Young with a couple of home runs. Red Sox have scored plenty of times, and 8 times in the second inning. Dustin Pedroia's had a good day at the plate. His 3-run double, the biggest swing of the bat. And the next Boston pitcher a year ago was pitching for the Minnesota Twins, Fernando Abad.
Yeah, he did a good job for the Twins. A lot of good friendships still here in Minnesota. First game of the series, Fernando was making the circles, talking to all his former teammates.
Pitched much better for the Twins than he did after the trade to the Red Sox. The Twins got hard-throwing right-hander Pat Light, who's no longer in the organization, for Abad. The Twins had no equity really in Abad. He made the team last year on a minor league deal, and then pitched well enough to where a contending team like the Red Sox was interested in giving up fringe prospect in Pat Light. And he'll face Max Kepler, Eduardo Escobar, Jason Castro. Twins need 2 runs or base runners to get Rosario up with another attempt to extend his hitting streak. Inside, ball 1. Kepler hit a liner to Betts his last time up. And strike 1 and 1. Way out in front. We saw Abad really mix pitches and change velocity well with the Twins.
A very slow off-speed pitch, but he throws it for a lot of strikes. And it's almost to the point where it's so slow that hitters are just never going to make contact with it.
Contact and a high fly to left. And running toward the line, Young puts it away, 1 down. And that'll bring up Escobar. Escobar 0 for 3, but he hit the ball hard his last. Excuse me, hit the ball hard his last time up.
He's hit the ball hard a couple times today. Nothing to show for it.
Up and away, ball 1.
Bogarts made that nice spinning.
That's right, down the ground ball up the middle, yeah.
Could have been a base hit.
One and 0. Two and 0. Red Sox have had a bunch of 2-game losing streaks. They've never lost 3 in a row yet this year. It doesn't appear they're going to lose today. It would be their 3rd in a row. Swing and a miss. 2 and 1. Tempish started. And knocked out in the second inning. Now inside, and it's 3 and 1. Molitor suggested that Tempish would get more than 1 start.
It's hard to even judge his start today. You know, everything went wrong all of a sudden quickly, and he was back in the locker room before he knew it.
But the circumstances have even changed since Paul said that, with Gibson being demoted. Tempish was inserted into the 5th spot in the rotation, but now the next question is who's going to take over the 3rd spot in the rotation, or however you want to number them. Who's going to take Gibson's spot?
Well, the good news is Santana, Santiago, and Phil Hughes have all pitched well. You got 3 guys that so far have been dependable. It's not unusual for a team to have questions about their fifth starter, sometimes fourth and fifth, but Twins are familiar with this. Fourth and fifth spot in the rotation.
Full count to Escobar. Popped up. And Rutledge wants it. He's got it. 2 down. And that'll bring up Castro. Castro with a pair of hits, a single and a double. Both of them pulled. His batting average back over the 200 mark. Tough day for Castro to catch after catching the ball game last night. And starter gets knocked out in the second. You end up catching half the bullpen. And then at the end, you end up catching your backup. 1-0. Up and in. 2-0. Abad only pitched 12 2/3 innings after the trade from the Twins last year. Gave up 13 hits, 2 home runs, and 8 walks. He was not very effective at all. A delayed strike call, 2-1.
He throws a lot of off-speed pitches, and then he can make a fastball look a lot quicker than it actually is, because you start thinking off-speed, and he can lock you up with a fastball.
Popped up to left, and Chris Young under it, fighting the sun, making the catch. And the Red Sox handily have evened the series at a game apiece.
Well, it wasn't a pretty one today, and there's going to be days like that. Twins can regroup. They've got their ace going tomorrow. Hopefully Irvin will do what he's done and give the chance to win a series again at home. Boston certainly had their hitting shoes on today, and you just tip their hat and move on.
Anthony, the old adage in baseball still very true. You give a big league team an extra out, you suffer the consequences, and the Twins suffered a lot of consequences after that error in the second inning.
No question about that. And we'll break down that second inning when the Red Sox scored 8 times to break the game open. We'll take a look at how Minnesota's bullpen, including one of their newest arms, provided relief. And we'll hear from Paul Molitor. We'll preview the series finale. It's all coming up next on Twins Live, presented by Century Link.